Okay, I want to finish a few points. There are crucial points here in Vayechi, so we didn't get this. Somebody just close that door over there for the... Okay, we were speaking last time about about how old people like wine. Right? Remember that's what we were speaking about last time, right? So this is a fine aged wine. So, take a look at Perek Memhei Pasuk Chav Ches. Perek Memhei Pasuk Chav Ches, which is on page 256. Thank you. So it says, Yaakov didn't believe his sons. Vayafa glibo ki lo ha'amin lohem. Then it says, Vayedabru elav es kol divrei Yosef asher diber alehem. Vayares ha'agolos asher shalach Yosef loseis oso v'atechi ruach Yaakov aviyam. So we said last time, page 256, right in the middle. So last time that Yaakov Avinu saw the wagons, and that reminded him of the Eglah Arufa. That reminded him of what they had been learning last time. We never find that Yaakov Avinu confronted his sons. At the point that Yosef's alive, what do you think, Yaakov? What's the first thing, the most logical thing for Yaakov Avinu to do at this point? Hey guys, I thought you told me he died. I thought you told me what happened over it. We never find that confrontation. We never find that Yaakov confronts the brothers. Why not? So you learn a very important halacha over here. Very important concept. It's a little bit hard to accept. Yaakov Avinu understood that if they sold Yosef, they didn't just sell him randomly. They assembled a Beis Din, and they ruled that he needs to be sold. They ruled. Now Yaakov doesn't agree with that psak. He doesn't agree with that. But there was paskin that way. Yaakov, there was paskin. Yaakov, that was the ruling. If that's the ruling of a Rav, when a Rav, this is going to happen to you in life, by the way. Sometimes you go to a Rav, and you're not happy with how he paskins. So, you're not happy. Too bad. Right? Yaakov Avinu doesn't confront the brothers because he says, okay, listen, you guys, the fact that you lied to me is one thing. But I can't say anything to you about the fact that you sold him because you guys paskined he needs to be sold. Right? Maybe I'm not happy about it, but that's the way it is. And you have to know in life that sometimes you go to a posek, you go to a Rav, and you ask him a shaila, and he's going to paskin for you, and you're not going to be happy to hear what he says. He says, you owe him the money. You two guys come to a Beis Din, you owe him the money. Listen, anytime there's a squabble in Beis Din, 50% of the people walk out happy. 50% of people walk out unhappy and say that they're dayanim, they don't know what they're talking about, but ganuvim, whatever it is. Why? Because you lost. Because you lost the case. The truth of the matter is that you're not upset that you lost the case as much as that, there's a famous story about a guy, a butcher. The butcher goes to the Rav and he says he has a shaila. He shechted a cow and he has a shaila on the cow. He said, one of the lungs, is it considered a treif? So the Rav takes a look at the lung, he inflates the lung, he's got a hole in it, and says, it's treif. Animal's treif. This is going to cost him $500. Because now he's got to sell it to a non-kosher company and he's going to lose that money on what you could have gotten for kosher meat. Okay. A week later, he comes to Beis Din, he's squabbling over a guy in shul over $50. And he loses the case, and he's bitter. Well, how could I? And he gets all upset. I understand. For $500, he accepted the psak. For $50, he got upset. Why is it? Because at $500, the one on the other side of you was a cow. With $50, the other guy on the side of you was him, right? It's not that I lost the $50. I lost to you. That's the problem. In life, when you lose to somebody else, by the way, if you ever played me at anything, you didn't want to lose. My brother didn't want. I was not a good winner, meaning I was a real good winner. Right? It was painful to lose to me. Right? That's something you heard about it a lot when you lost to me. Right? That's the way it works. So when you lose in Beis Din, even if a guy doesn't say anything, he's got that look in his eye. It's like last night when we left. I told the guys we left. There were two. We were in a cab, and there was another car coming towards us on that narrow street. Neither of them would move. Our cab wouldn't move, and he wouldn't move. We're just standing there. For about 5 minutes, we just sat. We just sat till I got out and tried to reason with the other guy. I said to the other guy, listen, I'm in a cab here. He's not going to budge. So they started yelling at me. Yeah, he said, he saw us coming. Why did he? So I got back in the car, let somebody else go out and deal with them. Right? But what's the problem? You would back up for anybody else. Yeah, but not for you. Why? Because you're trying to tell me it's me against you. We're facing each other. So Yaakov doesn't confront the brother. It's a rule in life. Remember later on in the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu and Korach have it out. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu say? It's one of the most amusing psukim in the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, if these people die a regular death, that means if Korach drops dead on the spot, then I was wrong. If he dies a natural death, then I was wrong. But if I was right, if the earth opens up and swallows him, that means I was right and he was wrong. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu declares loudly, in full earshot of all Klal Yisrael. Now, you're Korach at this moment, and you hear Moshe Rabbeinu make this declaration. What's going through your mind? Well, if he's right, if he's wrong, Korach, if he's wrong, I drop dead of a heart attack. So what does that leave Korach? And the Chassam Sofer asks, well, I understand, if Moshe Rabbeinu is wrong, why should Korach die? If Moshe Rabbeinu is wrong, why should Korach die? He doesn't leave Korach with great choice. Heart attack versus earth swallowing up are not really good. It doesn't leave you with great options here. So why does he deserve to die? So Chassam Sofer says he deserves to die because he's already wrong. Even if he's right, he's wrong. Why? What do you have to start a tumult for? You got a problem with the local rabbi in the shul? You got a problem with the rabbi? There's always that guy in the shul who gets everybody riled up against the rabbi. Like everybody, they're there. What do you got to be a rabble-rouser for? You got a problem there? Go talk to the rabbi. Make an appointment. Go see him in his office. Bring him a bottle of Blue Label. That'll get him reasonable. Go talk to the rabbi in the office. Go, what do you call? Go, hi, rabbi. I'm just wondering why this, that, or how come I haven't had an aliyah? Whatever you're at, why do you got to start a tumult? That's where he's wrong. That's where he deserves to die already. Now, if he's wrong, he deserves to get swallowed up supernaturally. But he already deserved to die for fighting with the rabbi. And I got news for you. That's the way it's going to be in life. There is no better option. Every community has a Rav. Is the Rav always right? The Rav of my community, I once went to because I was involved with something for the community. I made a mistake about something. So I said to the Rav, I was upset because I made a mistake. We're distributing some funds in the community for tzedakah. I said, I think I made a mistake giving out the money. He said to me, the only people who never make mistakes are people who don't do anything. If you don't do anything, you won't make any mistakes. Except for that, by the way. That itself is a mistake, that you didn't do anything. That's the biggest mistake. But if you don't do anything, you won't mistakes. It's safe. You become the Rav of a community, you're going to make mistakes. There's a whole Masechta called Horius, which is, what if the Sanhedrin made a mistake in how they paskin? Even the same, it's a whole Masechta in Shas. So you can make mistakes. That's part of it. Could a Rav make a mistake? You can make a mistake. Well, that's too bad. Because the alternative is not having a Rav at all. And if you don't have a Rav at all for the community, you don't have a rabbi at all for the shul, then you're going to have pandemonium. Then it's going to be all chaos. Then nothing's going to work properly. So Yaakov Avinu teaches us, you got to, what do you call? You have to accept the psak of the Rav, number one. Number two, one of the Forshim says, Vayomer Yisrael Rav Od Yosef B'nei Chai. What is Rav? Where have we had the word Rav before in the Torah? You remember where we had the word Rav? In Parsha told us when in Parsha told us where Yitzchak gives the bracha to Yaakov Avinu. What's the bracha? Sorry, not in the bracha. Turn back for 1 second. In the beginning of Parsha told us. In the very beginning of Parsha told us. Page. Page 124. Very beginning. So it says Rivka's pregnant and she's having a pain for the pregnancy, and she goes to consult to find out why is she having this kind of strange pregnancy. It's not like any pregnancy is a walk on the beach, by the way, but this one was super bad. So what does he say to her? Vayomer Hashem lo shnei goyim bevitnech. You have two nations in your stomach. Ushtei lumimech yiparedu. Ulom ilom yamatz. V'rav yavod sa'ir. Rav Yavot Sair, the older one is going to serve the younger one. Who's the older one? Esav. Esav's going to serve Yaakov. Now, we know who was the counterforce to Esav. Remember we spoke about that? Yaakov is the flame, is the fire. Yosef is the flame, and Esav is straw. Why does Yaakov leave Lavan's house when Yosef is born? He leaves when Yosef is born because the counterforce to Esav is there. Yosef is the counterforce to Esav. And since Yosef is the counterforce to Esav, so then, why he's the counterforce, by the way, is that externally, Yosef was playing with it. Remember, Yosef was worried about his external appearance. But internally, Yosef is a tzaddik. What's Esav? Exactly the opposite. Esav externally tries to make himself look good, and internally he's rotten. So Yosef is this counterforce to Esav. When Yaakov thought Yosef died, so he thought that Esav is now going to overcome him. At the point that he sees Yosef's way of life, he makes a declaration where he's addressing Esav. Rav! He's addressing the guy who's called Rav, which is who? Esav. He's making a declaration. Od Yosef ben Echai. Too bad, Esav. Yosef is alive, and therefore you, Esav, who were so happy to hear that Yosef died, because he's the counterforce, you were happy? Yaakov declares Rav. Od Yosef ben Echai, and now I'm going to go and see him before I die. Okay, now take a look at Perek Memvav Pasuk Tes. So the Torah starts mentioning the names, page 258. Torah starts mentioning the what do you call it? What's today's date, by the way? 23rd. Where? We're getting close, right? Getting close, right? Getting close. So I heard about this Jewish family. They're living in a goy town, and the father had to be there on business for a few years. So he got Avi and Yitzi and Yankee, the three little Jewish kids. And they got, the neighbors are Johnny, Billy, and Tommy. So it's the 25th of December, and the 24th and Mr. Murphy buys a tree. So he brings this tree into the house. So he kind of drives up with the car. He says, Johnny, Billy, Tommy, come help me with the tree. So the Jewish kids say, well, Mr. Murphy, can we help too? He says, sure, guys. So they're helping him drag the tree into the house. As they drag the tree to the house, Avi says, so Mr. Murphy, how tall does the tree have to be? It doesn't matter. Tree could be any size, big, little, doesn't matter. So Yitzi says to him, well, how close to the window does it have to be? It doesn't have to be close to the window. You can put it in the middle of the room if you want. What kind of window? What do you talk about window? And Yankee says, well, Mr. Murphy, what if some of the leaves start turning brown? Is it puzzle? He says, what are you hacking about? What's your problem? It's just a lousy tree, right? Now put yourself in the perspective of Jewish kids. Where do Jewish kids get that from? A Jewish kid growing up in a house from the day he's born is being trained in Judaism. You're just being trained in Judaism. Everything he sees in the house is what we call chinuch. We call training. Why? A Jewish kid, from what age does a Jewish kid know what you do with the kiddush on Friday night? The kid already knows that daddy does like this with a cup, right? The kid doesn't even play. My kids used to play shul. Right? My kids used to play shul Shabbos morning. A lot of kids play shul Shabbos morning. They play shul. Take a big beach towel, you put it on one guy. He's the chazan, right? Then you got another guy who's the gabbai. You got a third guy who's the guy who yells at the gabbai, right? And it always ends with an ufraf, with throwing candy, right? Where they got any? I don't know if Catholic kids play church. Okay, let's play church. Okay, who are we gonna nail up this week? Come on, Tommy. No, I still got the Band-Aids from last week. Let's get Billy. I don't know that we play. I don't think they play church. Somebody bring out some wafers and wine. That's what we'll do. All the wine we'll take. Pass on the wafers. I don't know if they play. Jewish kids are playing shul. For a 2-year-old, one Havdalah. I made Havdalah last night. My grandson. He's there with the what do you call it? The only difference between him and the adult is he tries to eat the besamim, right? That's the only difference. He's machmir, so he eats the besamim. He's firmer than the rest of us. What's going on in the house is, there's a Jewish kids who are playing Monopoly. True story. Jewish kids are playing Monopoly. One of the kids ended up on a hotel, boom, bankrupt, you're out of the game. So one of the kids says, let's make him a gemach. Make him a free loan fund for the way to go. I've read rules of Monopoly. It doesn't say anything about free gemachim. There are no gemachim in Monopoly. Monopoly. By the way, the real rules of Monopoly, just that you should know, is that free parking, nothing happens. You don't lose a turn, there's no money, there's nothing. You're just there, you're in existence. That's all free parking is. But all Jews have, you put something in there, some money in there. We're not going to waste the space on a Monopoly board. I paid good money for the Monopoly board. I'm not wasting the space over it. So there's got to be some sort of money that goes into the what do you call it? In a Jewish home, kids are being trained from day one. From day one, they're being trained. It's called chinuch. I heard about a guy goes out on a shidduch. True story also. Terrible story. You love it. Guy goes out on a shidduch. And He may say a Yeshivat Bacher, from Yeshivat Bacher. He goes out at shidduch. So after the shidduch, he calls the shadchan and says, I'd like to see the girl again. I'd like to meet her. It's a very interesting girl. The girl does not want to go out with you again. He says, why not? He says, the whole night you kept saying things like, oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, don't make a big deal about it. That's not important. Oh, forget about it. Oh, you're wrong. Is that true? He goes, yeah. Because no girl's going to want to go out. Yeah, the girl wants to be respected. The girl, if you treat a girl like that, why would you talk like that? He says, listen, I'm a frum guy. I never talked to a girl before in my life. Before I went out on my first shidduch, I went to my Rabbi. I said, Rabbi, listen, I got to go on shidduch. How do I talk to a girl? So Rabbi says, it's not a big deal. Just talk the way your father talks to your mother. So I did. It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny, right? Because the kids are seeing everything in the house. Kids are seeing absolutely everything. That's called chinuch. That's called chinuch. We are more focused than any other nation on raising and training children because we have a plan in life. The other nations, what's the plan? Be a good person. There's no goal. There's no defined goal. We have a defined goal. And that defined goal, that's why we're putting in the emphasis from the day the kid is born. That my first son was about 3 years old. My oldest son was about 3 years old. So I was walking past the refrigerator at night. Past the kitchen at night. At 10 o'clock at night, kid was up, a little pitzly, size of his tail. I don't know why, but the refrigerator door was open. And he had a big bottle of pop in his hand, and he was drinking out of the bottle. He didn't know I was watching him. And my first thought was, now where did he learn to do that? And I realized, I must have seen my wife drinking out of a bottle, If me, it would be a different bottle. At least he wasn't in the liquor locker. At least that. So it's not the end of the world to drink out of a bottle. But you have to understand that the kids are watching everything you're doing. The kids see every single move you make. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky was once asked how he taught his kids to make brachas. Yaakov Kamenetsky was one of the Gedolei Dor. He was asked, how did you teach your kids to make brachas? Rabbi Yaakov says, I never taught my kids to make brachas. I made brachas, my wife made brachas, the kids saw us making brachas, so they made brachas. And that's how you train children. I heard about a little girl, she picks up an apple. She starts eating the apple, 6-year-old girl. So her father said to her, Rachel, I didn't hear you make a bracha. She goes, no, I'm big now, I can do it like adults. I can do it quietly like adults. Right? They're watching everything. Why am I bringing this up? Take a look at the names. We always talk about what's in the name, how significant is the name. Ve'elu shmos b'nei Yisrael aboy Mitzrayim Yaakov uvanav bechor Yaakov Reuven. Yaakov's firstborn son is Reuven. Ubnei Reuven Chanoch. What is Reuven's first? So Reuven's the oldest son. Likely that he had the first grandson. What does he name his grandson? Chanoch. What does Chanoch sound like? Chinuch. That means that we have a tradition in Klal Yisrael. And this tradition is being passed on from generation to generation. And the tradition is not being passed on only by having the kid read the book. The tradition is being passed on by living it. And the way we live it is the way the child's going to live it. The father, who the child sees the father once in a while, he learns, and the father puts on tefillin, so the kids put on, that's the thing you do, is you put on tefillin. The kid who sees his father talking in shul, so he's going to talk in shul. That's the way it works. There is no in between. The example that we set, that's what the Torah is telling you. And we are transmitting not only the training and the behavior, but there's a whole tradition of coming down. We have from Har Sinai. We have all the laws that come down. That's all part. The first name, says Rabbi Avigdor Miller, if he named the son Chanoch, that means the Torah is teaching you that the first child was the message over here that we're passing on the tradition from generation to generation. Kids are kids notice everything, by the way. Kids notice everything. Parents think you can fool kids. You can't fool kids. Kids see everything. They can read you just like you could read them. You can't fool kids. And the kids know. Kids are very, very smart. Even yourself. How old were you when you knew what to do at a green light? How old were you? You never read it in a book. How old were you when you knew, what do you do? A green light, what do you do? You're sitting in the back of your father's car, 2 years old probably. Green light, go. Red light, stop. Yellow light, daddy, go. Mommy, stop. Right? And kids are smart. They see what's going on. So the first thing the Torah emphasizes over here is that the concept of chinuch. Okay. Take a look at Perek Mem Vav Pasuk Chav Ches. Okay, so I want to tell you something that that I heard from the Rosh Yeshiva, from Rav Daniel. He spoke about this. A couple of times he's spoken about this. But this is something very important to Rosh Yeshiva, which is Beis Yisrael. This is an important idea over here. Torah says, "Ves Yehuda shalach lefanav lo Yosef lahoras lefanav Goshen." Yosef, Yaakov Avinu is getting ready to go down to Mitzrayim. So he sends Yehuda on ahead of him. Vayavo artza Goshen. He sends Yehuda on lahoros lefanav Goshena. Now, how does the ArtScroll translate lahoros lefanav? To prepare ahead of him in Goshen. The word lahoros really means to instruct. That's why Torah, it comes from the root of Torah. What's Torah? Torah is hora'ah. Hey, what's a teacher? Teacher is a moreh. Moreh, hora'ah, Torah. It's all the same root, to instruct, to teach, to educate. Here he says he sends Yehuda ahead of him to prepare. That's a funny word to use for prepare, is to teach, which is really the word to teach, right? That's a funny word to use. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, by the way, did I tell you about Billy Smith? Ever told you about Billy Smith? Anybody heard of Billy Smith? He was a goaltender with New York Islanders in the 70s. New York Islanders won 4 championships in a row. Billy Smith was a goaltender. Billy Smith had a reputation of being the dirtiest player in the league. Because the goalie has a nice big thick stick. And as a skater would go skating past him, Billy Smith would he would slash. Anybody got too close, he would slash him on the back of the calves, which is the only unprotected part of a hockey player's body. Everything else has padding, which wasn't appreciated. You know, he'd go past, and he was considered the dirtiest player. He was a good goalie, considered the dirtiest player in the league. And they'd slash him. His teammates loved him. Everybody else hated him. And he'd slash him. Okay. Until his teammates got traded, of course. Then they hated him too. But it would slash him. So Billy Smith Jr. was 9 years old and started playing pee-wee hockey. Guess what position he played? Just like Daddy. So an interviewer spoke to Billy Smith Sr., and he asked Billy Smith Sr., is your son going to be slashing the pee-wees? So Billy said, no. He said, hi, why not? He says, because I told my son, don't do as I do as I say. Guess what? I didn't read results, but I have very little doubt that the pee-wees were limping, right? Because kids don't do as we say, kids do as we do. That's the rule in chinuch. You could say you could talk to your blue in the face. Talking doesn't help you. Talking isn't going to help you. Say, a little bit you have to say to kids. But the difference is saying it and doing it yourself is a lot different. Kids are imitators. That's what my Rav told me. Kids are imitators. They imitate their parents. And everything that you do, the kids see. They see what you did. They see what you did happily. They see what you did unhappily. They see everything. Kids are imitators. And that's the Yesoded Chinuch. Okay. Now, take a look at Rashi here on Pasuk Chav Ches. Rashi says, it's the left column. Left column. Lehoros lefanov. So 3 lines from the top, left column. Kitargumo. The Targum says to clear out a place for them in Goshen. Lefanos lemokom, to find a place, to clear out a place. Heyach yisyashev ba, exactly how they'll settle. Lefanov kodem shegilzram. Umedrash agola, mem aleph. Lehoros lefanov, what does it mean, lehoros lefanov? Lisake lo beis Talmud, to go and make a beis medrash. Shemisham Teitzei Hora, where they'll know the halachas, they'll be able to learn and paskin halachas in the Beis Medrash. So Yaakov sends Yehuda on ahead to Goshen. What's the first thing? Why is he sending him, according to Rashi, why is he sending him to Goshen? To go open up a Beis Medrash in Goshen. Yaakov had a Beis Medrash in Eretz Yisrael, and the Gemara says, by the way, Techef l'Talmid Chacham bracha. The Gemara says when a Talmid Chacham arrives in the house, there's blessing in the house. And one of the people learns it from is Yaakov Avinu, because he got to Lavan's house, and then Lavan was blessed with sons. He didn't have sons before that. And the second person the Gemara learns is from Yosef. Yosef got to Potiphar. He was a Talmid Chacham. He got to Potiphar's house, and then Potiphar was blessed. So the Gemara says the Talmid Chacham arrives in the house, serious Talmid Chacham arrives in the house, there's going to be blessing in the house. That's what the Gemara says. So Yaakov goes and he sends Yosef down there. Why do you have to send Yehuda to go open up a Beis Medrash? He's got Yosef is in Mitzrayim. I mean, Yosef has free reign in Mitzrayim. He can do whatever he wants. Why does he have to have what he called? Why does he have to have Yehuda go what he called? Go ahead of him. That was the question. The answer is Torah has to be pure. Yosef could open up a Yis Medrash in Mitzrayim. But nowadays they have things like yeshiva high schools. Some limudei kodesh, some limudei chol. They got all sorts of programs with the yeshiva. The purest yeshiva is a yeshiva where everybody's learning Torah. You're sitting and learning Torah all day long. What are you going to send? You'll open up a yeshiva in Mitzrayim. So part of the day will be Torah. Part of the day will be hieroglyphics. Right, studying hieroglyphics, and that's not part of Torah. Those people look like that. They always look like that, right? They're always looking like that. They got this weird thing with like a dog on the head instead. He's got a human being with a dog. It's probably a snake on the arm or something. Weird stuff. There's a lot of chokhmah to the hieroglyphs. Now we're not knocking it. There's a whole study of the. By the way, I think mummy. The Egyptians made mummies. I think to this day they haven't figured out. With all they've analyzed it under chemical analysis, they still don't know what they were doing. So they were onto something. These weren't about the what do you call it? They had a tremendous amount of wisdom there. There wasn't like they weren't a bunch of cavemen. And they were what do you call it? They were sophisticated people. They weren't a bunch of drunk Irish guys. These were sophisticated people. On the other hand, Torah has to be a certain way. So he needs Yehuda to go out ahead of him. He can't have Yosef. He could have sent a message, Yosef, open up a yeshiva for us. But he can't do that because he wants the Torah to be coming from his base medrash, not a new base medrash, not a new idea. His base medrash transplanted in Egypt. Do you know that the Volozhin yeshiva was closed? The Volozhin yeshiva was what's called the mother of all yeshivas. Rav Chaim Volozhin started the Volozhin yeshiva, and they had the Volozhin yeshiva was running for many years, and it was the top yeshiva. And then the Russian government insisted that they learned limudei chol. First they have to learn Russian, and then it was that they have to also incorporate into the Volozhin yeshiva secular studies. They had a big meeting of Rabbanim, and the Rabbanim said, rather than compromise the values, we're going to close the yeshiva. And they did. They locked up the yeshiva. They closed the Volozhin yeshiva, which happened to be a blessing, by the way. It was a blessing in disguise, because from the Volozhin yeshiva, then these Rabbanim all spread out and opened up other yeshivas. So at the end of the day, Torah proliferated as a result of, wasn't lichatchila, it wasn't what you were looking to do, but the Torah then proliferated outwards, number one. Number two, so Yaakov Avinu we need pure Torah over. We can't have Torah. It's like in Israel, we're living with this all the time, where the government, for our benefit, only for our benefit, of course, because they know what's good for us more than we do, so they insist that the yeshivas in Israel have to incorporate the secular studies, because the secular schools in Israel are doing so well with their what do you call it? With the raising such a fine generation of fine, upstanding kids, who all teachers are terrified to go into the classroom with. Right? We're in a cheder, and in the yeshivas, about the worst thing a kid does is he doesn't bench. And in the state schools, unfortunately, they got all the things that you got in America in public schools. In the public, they have what do you call it? The only thing they don't have is metal detectors here, right? Metal detectors they don't have for what? I don't know if the metal detectors for in America. I don't know if it's for the teachers or the students. Right? But I once had a chavrusa. I was at a chavrusa when I first was learning in Kolo. So I had a chavrusa. This guy was a good few years older than me. And, I'd been in Yeshiva High School, I'd been in the day school, Yeshiva High School. This guy was a public school kid. I became a Baal Tshuva. So I told him once a story from my day school. When I was in day school, I was in about 8th grade. We came in from recess. And one of the kids, we had a lineup we played baseball or something. We're all sweated up and thirsty. And we're standing by the drinking fountain. And there's a line. And we're all waiting in line. And one kid at the back of the line, he makes a bracha. So we didn't want, all of us we didn't want it to be a bracha levatol chas v'sholom, so we all got out of the way so he could go and get a drink. I was so upset. I wish I had that moment back, by the way. Because I wish I could do that again, because I realized later what I should also make a bracha. Now what? Now I'm ahead of you in line anyway, so now we'll both have to wait. You'll still have to wait for me. So the guy made a bracha, we all got out of the way. So I told this to my chavrusa. So he said to me, boy, are you lucky. He says he got up, they had an ex-boxer when he was in school who patrolled the lunchroom. And he said every day somebody got beaten up by this ex-boxer in public school. So they want to tell us how to raise our kids. They want to tell us what the values are. Right? That's what's going on in this country. We're not. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll try. We'll do it our way. We'll worry about benching. You guys worry about the drugs and the blades, and we'll worry about the benching. Now, don't do us any favors. That's first of all. Second of all, what's the priority going into Mitzrayim? Very often, this applies to us, by the way. Let's say you go back. Let's say you leave Ohr Somayach. Let's say a guy leaves Yeshiva. You go back to America. What's the first thing? What do? Well, you find out, where am I going to go to school and what's my career going to be? But I'd also like to continue my learning. So, I'll try to find somewhere where I could also learn, right? Isn't that the mindset? Yaakov, he says, that's the opposite order. The first thing you do is say at a base medrash, where am I going to learn? After that's taken care of, then I'll worry about my career and my, what's the priority in life? That's what he's showing us. Yaakov Avinu is going down to Mitzrayim. Yeah, Yaakov Avinu, if I was Yaakov Avinu, what's the first thing I'd be worrying about? If I'm moving from another country, where's my house going to be, right? Will I have my own private room? Where's the nearest kosher restaurant? Then where's the shul? And then I'll find out where I'm going to learn. Yaakov Avinu says, no, that's not the priority. The priority in life is first set up a base. Where are you going to be learning? Get Yehuda down there to set up a base medrash the way we want a base medrash to look. Then we'll go on to the next stage. Okay. Now, 2 more points. And this was the one I wanted to get to last time. They finally meet. Now watch this. In Pasuk Chav Tes, bottom of 260, 3 lines from the bottom. Vayeser Yosef merkavto, Yosef hitches up his chariot. Watch this. Vayal likras Yisrael aviv goshna, vayira elav vayipol al tzavarav, Yosef embraces him. Vayefk al tzavarav, and he cries even more. Tremendous amount of crying. The shocking Rashi over here. Take a look at Rashi. Left column, 260. Left column, 2 lines from the bottom. Sorry, bottom line. Bottom line, left. I see it, 260. Left column, bottom line of Rashi. If you find it, please show the person next to you. Yosef embraced Yaakov. He fell on Yaakov's neck, embraced him, and he cried. Aval Yaakov lo nafal al tzavare Yosef alon. Yaakov did not embrace Yosef and cry. Who missed who more? Yosef missed Yaakov or Yaakov missed Yosef? Of course. Parents miss the kids. Kids don't miss the parents. As long as the parents just send them some money, kids are fine. Parents actually miss their kids for about 5 minutes till the kid comes home. And they're ready to send them back. But the parents miss the kids more than the kids miss the parents. But Yosef hugs and embraces Yaakov. Yaakov doesn't embrace Yosef. Doesn't hug him. Ve'amar Rabosenu shahaya korei Shema. He was in the middle of reading Kriyas Shema. Boy, what a providential time. What happened? He got up late that morning? He missed Zman Kriyas Shema. Oh, Zman Kriyas Shema, just as Yosef's hugging him. I got 2 minutes to catch the Vilna Gaon. Shema Yisrael. What was going on here? What's going on here? Yosef's hugging, and by the way, Yosef knows he's not being hugged back. The guy staggers out of a bar, sees a telephone pole. Hey, bro! And goes to hug him. You're not being hugged back. Right? What's going on here? And why now? I understand. If he has to say Kriyas, Yosef also has to say Kriyas Shema. If it's because the mitzvah to say Kriyas Shema, you mean Yaakov missed minyan that morning? What, have we got up late? Why is he saying Kriyas Shema? So there are different opinions here. One of the opinions is that Yaakov felt at this moment, at the peak joy of his life, the emotional reunion with Yosef, he wants to take and channel all of that joy to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the standard explanation that's given. The Yaakov feels this is a moment that's this is the ultimate. And at that moment of the ultimate joy, Yaakov Avinu says, you know what? He channels everything up to Ribono Shel Olam. Okay. That's the standard explanation. There's another explanation that Yosef, somebody asked last week about the fulfillment of the dreams. So the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says that Yosef was wearing the royal garb when he went out to see Yaakov Avinu. Why? Because he figured 1 of 2 things will happen. Either Yaakov will think he's Paro and he'll bow down to him, or Yaakov will see the royal garb and bow down to the royalty that Yosef represents. And that way Yosef will bring about the fulfillment of the dream, that the second dream, that Yaakov bows down to him. Yaakov realized when he saw Yosef that Yosef was forcing him to bow down to fulfill the dreams. And Yaakov felt you don't make your father bow down to you, even for fulfillment of dreams, and therefore he wanted to give Yosef the cold shoulder. Give Yosef the cold shoulder with that what do you call it? I'm not hugging you. I'm upset already. I'm upset already that you went and you forced me to bow down to you. That's considered, there's one opinion that because of that, that's why Yosef died before his brothers. He lost 10 years of his life. There was an opinion this contributed to Yosef's premature death. So Yosef caught, that's the second explanation. I think there's another idea here. Yaakov lost 22 years. We were speaking about chinuch before. Yaakov lost 22 years of chinuch of Yosef. Yosef was his prized pupil, his prized son. 22 years Yaakov wasn't able to exert an influence on Yosef. He's now going to give Yosef a chinuch lesson that's going to make up for anything he could have done in 22 years. What's the chinuch lesson? That at the moment that you expect me to show love for you, I'm going to show you that there's one love that transcends that. That's the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I love you, but I love Hashem more. That's a lesson that's going to, a kajang, that's going to make up for 22 years of not being able to mechanech him. And therefore, what do you think? Yosef doesn't hear what's going on? Yosef, he knows he's not being hugged. And he also hears his father, Shema Yisrael. I don't know, his father may have been a brisker. Shema. We don't know exactly how that Shema went. I don't know exactly how the Shema went. But one thing Yosef is hearing, the Shema, that's for sure. So, Yosef, hi, Dad, a big hug. Nothing. Shema Yisrael. That's a lesson that penetrates the bones. That's a lesson that, and Yaakov makes up with one shot, he makes up for 22 years of what he would have given Yosef over what he called. Okay, now there are two more points here. Number one, if you take a look over here, this is very strange. Yaakov meets Paro. Next page. Yosef brings his father to meet Paro. What's the first thing Paro says? Vayomer Paro el Yaakov, top of page 264. Vayomer Paro el Yaakov. Well, something's leaking here. Top of page 264. Vayomer Paro el Yaakov. Kama yemei shnei chayecha. How old are you? I think, that's a funny question. Most times people meet, like when you meet people normally, hi, how are you? Where are you from? Oh, do you know so-and-so? Play a little Jewish geography. What do you do? In Israel, it's not like that. But in Israel, we're much less formal. Hi, how much did you pay for your dira? In Israel, we cut to the chase. In Israel, there's no like how do you make it through the month? In Israel, it's very we cut all the small talk. We get straight to it. In order to hi, how are you? Where are you from? Where do you live? What do you do? Where do you daven? That's one question Jews always ask each other, right? Hi, where do you daven? You notice nobody says, do you daven? I'll also tell you something about how wonderful we are. We should be proud of ourselves. Nobody says, hi, do you daven? Nobody says, people say, where do you daven? That's what you say. The assumption is you daven. Nobody says, oh, by the way, I don't do that. I don't daven. I'm not into davening. Nobody says that. We say, where do you daven? So Yaakov comes in, Paro says to him, hi, how old are you? And what is Yaakov's response? The Omer Yaakov Aprai, Meshnei Megrai Shoshim Hashanah, 130 years old. They've me'at v'roim hayu yimei. I've had few and difficult days. V'lo hisigu es yimei shnei chayev. And I'm nowhere near as old as my parents, as my father and grandfather. That's a strange conversation. Why is Paro asking, and why is Yaakov responding with a kvetch and a complaint to Paro of all people? And not only that, it's brought down because of 33 words in this exchange. Yaakov Avinu lost 33 years of his life for complaining. He was supposed to live to 180, he lived to 147 because of this exchange over here. And the problem is, it says because Yaakov said 33 words, but he didn't say 33 words. His pasuk is only 25 words. Yet he loses 33 words. So what's going on here? So the Parsha explained like this. As soon as Yaakov came to Paro, he came in the second year of the famine. And because of Yaakov, the famine ended. In Yaakov's merit, the famine ended. And Paro knew that. Hey, the famine ended. Yosef's father came here. He's a great man. The famine ended. So he takes one look at Yaakov, and Yaakov looks old and worn out. So what's he worried about? He's worried, well, if he's old and worn out, he may die. And if he dies, then there's going to be famine's going to resume. So his first question is, how old are you? And Yaakov says, don't worry, I'll be around for a while. I'm not even close yet. Why do I look so old? Because I've had a rough, tough life. That's why I look so old. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of life. That's the exchange. That's why Paro, he's not asking because he wants to buy him a present. He's asking because he wants to know, how old are you? Are you going to be around? How long are you going to be around yet? And we'll have this bracha. Yaakov says, don't worry, I'm not that old. I'm not as old as I look. Why do I look so old? I'm worn out from a difficult life. And for that, he gets punished. Listen to the last message here. So, okay, he loses 20. His pasuk is 25, should lose 20. Why does he lose 33 years of his life? And the answer is, he's responsible for what he said, which is his pasuk. He's also responsible for eliciting that question from Paro. Why are you asking him how old he is? Why did Paro ask? Because Yaakov's wearing it on his face. That means that at Yaakov's level, we're talking about Yaakov Avinu here, so we have to keep it a proper. At Yaakov's level, and listen, he had a hard life. Yosef, Rachel, Dinah was violated. What do you call it? Esav, Lavan. He had a rough life. Nobody's saying that. At his level, the highest level, if somebody's going through a difficult time, you're supposed to realize it's all for the best. It's all for the best. If you got to go to the dentist tomorrow, and then you go to the dentist, you know that he's hurting you and it's for your benefit. You're not going to walk around all day, man, I got to go to the dentist. Okay, you had to do it. You did what you had to do. And if you're wearing it, that means you didn't accept God's will at the level you should have accepted it. Yaakov Avinu is taken to task for even eliciting the question, why do we see it on you? And you took it a little, and who did we see as the epitome of not doing that? Yosef himself. Yosef was in the pit, the Egyptian pit, and Yosef is the same Yosef. It didn't show on Yosef. So we have to be careful here because we're talking about Yaakov Avinu at his level, but that's what the Mefarshim say. He's taken the task for even eliciting the question. At his level, he should have been able to not let it wear on him at the level that's expected of Yaakov. Obviously, we're talking about a very high level. And therefore, what do you call it? Therefore, he loses 33 years of life because he's responsible for his pasuk and he's responsible for the eight words of Paro's pasuk. Okay. See you tomorrow.